himself, Ian McDermott, along with Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, John DiMaggio, who is Bender from Futurama, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Sting, and Sunday only Grant Gustin from The Flash and Glee, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun is in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $40. Kids tickets are just $8 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com. Greg Bakun here. Like many of you, I still collect physical books, and not just any books, but books about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. I go to Megas Books and Herbs, located in the Arts District of Minneapolis, but books are only part of it. Megas Books and Herbs offers crystals, jewelry, herbs, oils, and consultations on how to use this stuff. Check out their in-store classes and events too. This place has everything to expand your horizons. Located at 1848 Central Avenue, Minneapolis, or visit megasbooks.com. Are you one of thousands of individuals who know you have psychic abilities but don't know how to tap into your higher self? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who offers classes that can help you reach your goals. Refined Divine holds classes Monday and Thursday at her 2 locations and via Zoom. Classes consist of manifestation, learning psychic abilities, shadow work, and healing trauma. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
This is Psychic Medium Deb. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host, guest, random reptoid, or chupacabra may not necessarily reflect those of AM 950 Radio, its affiliates, or its sponsors. Now, it's time to step into the unknown. There are things people experience but never talk about. A shadow moving in the corner, flickering of the lights, a disembodied voice. We invite you to talk with us. Share your story, share your experience, because this isn't just your story, this is our story. This is GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun.
And this is GhostBox Radio on AM 950, where every night we talk about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. My name is Greg Bakun. Thank you for joining us on this, once again, unseasonably warm Tuesday here in the Twin Cities. And I just, it's been a good day. I have to admit, I am going to talk more about this, folks. Do not worry. You will not. This is not the end of it. That you're going to hear me talk about the fact that the Northeaster has just published an article about me this week. It's a newspaper in Northeast Minneapolis, and it's actually very important to me because I grew up in St. Anthony Village, just outside of Minneapolis, where this paper has been a part of my life, my entire life. So to be able to, I guess, go home and be able to be in that paper and talking about places that I've investigated that I also grew up being a part of in Northeast Minneapolis, over by like the Rogue Buddha Gallery, who Nicholas Harper, who owns it, allowed me to do the interview there. And I actually went to grade school with him. And then the P&A Hall, which is next door, that we've investigated. And in fact, was a place where my parents had their wedding anniversary over 60, not anniversary, but their reception over 60 years ago. It's very important to me. So not one to kind of keep this stuff to himself. You will be hearing me talk about it as the days go on. I can't help it. Bruce asked the question, how many copies did you pick up? I haven't yet. I didn't even know it dropped. My friend Molly posted on Facebook, and she tagged me, and it said that it was in there. And I just like, okay, I got to go back to my old stopping grounds and pick up like 3,000 copies and do that. Now, you might think that what I'm talking about might be a little excessive in terms of you get really excited when you see your name in print, but I can guarantee my guest tonight gets that same sort of exhilaration when he sees his name in print, and it's probably in articles, but it's also, as it happens, going to be like author and then his name. And we've had Joe on a number of times, and it's always fun to have him on. We're talking tonight to Joe Prosit, and we're talking about a brand new book that has just come off, hot off the press, called Machine Monsters and Maniacs Volume 2, 20 Short Stories. This is, we talked about him coming back on for that, and we're really excited to always talk to Joe because I've met him about a year ago. It was at a paranormal conference in St. Cloud. And since then, we've kept in touch. We've had him on. We kind of see where each of us are going with what we're doing. And it's been really fun. So, Joe, welcome to GhostBox Radio. It's good to see you back, Joe. How are you doing?
Great to be back, Greg. This is a ton of fun. I've been traveling all over the place selling books, and yeah, I've been waiting for a long time for Machines, Monsters, and Maniacs Volume 2 to come out, and now it's here, and I've been selling it, and it's in people's hands. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Like I said, I've been seeing you're working the streets, and I mean this in a good way. Okay, you're working the streets every weekend. You're out at a different fair, and it's not like 10 miles from where you live. You're going all over the place. It has to be a lot of work and a lot of fun at the same time, I'd think.
For sure, for sure. I think one of my dreams has always been like a rock star. Everybody wants to be a rock star, right? And I think this is kind of the closest that I'm getting is, loading up the car or the van and hauling all my stuff to whatever town. And yeah, but once a weekend I have one of those Spinal Tap moments where I'm lost in the tunnels behind some mall, behind the Spencers and the Hot Topic, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to go. Or I'm forgetting which city I'm even in. What am I in Peoria or am I in Champaign? I don't even remember.
As long as if they're making a model of Stonehenge for you, that it's the right size. That's the only thing I'm worrying about for you. So
that's right.
There's
1 inch scale.
1 inch scale. There's something, and I have been very vocal for myself personally that I get frustrated when I see people trying to make a big deal out of everything that comes their way. Like it's like hot dogging in a way. But I have to admit, and I think that you'd probably agree, it's when you look at it from your own personal point of view, it's like you're working real hard. You're doing everything that you think you need to do. Once in a while, you do want to be able to be like, yeah, okay, here's my books. Here's, I deserve this moment for some kind of recognition, whether it's just as simple as someone buying the book, I would think.
Well, yeah. I've sold a good number of books now, and I find I'm more worried about losing the thrill of when I sold, because I can remember selling on like a farmer's market, and on one evening I sold 5 books, and I was ecstatic. It was right at the beginning, and I was like, oh my gosh, now 5 people I've never met are going to read what I wrote, and maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. So I'd rather hang on to that feeling, even if I'm selling, nowadays I'll sell up to, around 100 books at an event. But each one carries the same weight, right? Like each one matters just as much as that first one or that second or third or fourth or fifth.
Yeah, no, now the thing is too, is folks stick around in the second segment, because we're talking today in particular about Joe's newest book, Machine Monsters and Maniacs Volume 2, 20 Short Stories. And they can get this over at, I see it's on Amazon. Can we get this over at joeprosit.com?
Yeah, and it'll just link you to either Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
Got it.
So those are the 2 online retailers. And then I'm in some local bookstores. Uncle Hugo's down in South Minneapolis, Books Revisited, St. Cloud, and a couple places up here in Brainerd.
Nice. And I feel like that I ask you that question every single time you're on, whether or not you can get the books through your site. So, what you can do is you can get a Joe Prosit t-shirt. I love that design. There's a lot of stuff you can also see where he's going to be at and all sorts of good things. And what I was getting to as well is in the second segment, Joe's going to do a reading from the new book. And I'd like it if, Joe, you could tell us what we have in store with this second volume of Machine Monsters and Maniacs.
You picked up the volume 1, or if you haven't, it's a short story collection. Some are as short as a 2-minute read, some maybe a half-hour long read, some science fiction, some horror, some ghost stories, some crime noir. So a little mix of everything. I always tell people it's in the style of like a Twilight Zone or Tales from the Crypt or Black Mirror. People will read my stuff and say, "Oh, this is like Black Mirror." I get that a lot.
It's interesting too, because like I was reading the description from it, and just the last part of the sentence I got a laugh out of, and I love it. And of course, time traveling Nazis. So
Right.
which I if anyone could have done it, if we were close to it, it would have been them, I think. So I think
Yeah, I think the first time I was on the show, I read that story about the time traveling Nazis. That was a ways back, but yeah, if your listeners want to hear it and dig through the archives, that one's out there.
Absolutely. Now, have you written a story about how Minnesota is having August weather in October, and that and then however you want to end it. I was out there grilling chicken today, and I loved every minute of it. But at the same time, it's like it's warm out there. So I mean, because obviously everything is open for you to take to create a story out of.
Yeah, and I haven't written anything about that specifically, but I'm definitely influenced by just our modern society and things that we're all dealing with. Like there's a novel that is the very early stages right now, but I'm super excited about it. And the working title is The Reality Reaction Team. And the basic concept is it's kind of like a Men in Black style team that goes and responds to people who aren't sure if what they're experiencing is reality or not. And then they
Yes.
go there and sort of validate that experience. And of course, in our modern society right now, I feel like more and more, whether it's due to fake news or AI creating art or disinformation or whatever it is, that we're not often people aren't sharing the same reality as the person next to them, and
Yeah.
we kind of lack that common understanding that is so crucial. And I only see it getting worse, so my brain is like stuck on that topic and stuck on that problem and how we might go about trying to solve that or trying to address it.
It's interesting because it's even as simple as when you can see something posted, say on Facebook in some group, and it's clearly an AI photo, an AI image or whatever, and you see the reaction to people who take it at face value. And that when I read that, when you read that, you're probably like, "Ooh, this is a great story." I read it as, "Holy cow, we are in for some big trouble," because there's some great videos of let's just put it this way without trying to become political. There are some very convincing videos of someone who may have worked at McDonald's for a day, but the person who created the video shows him kind of being thrown around and stuff and screwing everything up. And it's like, this isn't like, oh, you can see that this is, but there's some very convincing pieces to it. That's very scary. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is or what side you're on. That's very scary to me, to see that that's so easily accessible for people to create.
Right. And I've shared the concept of this story with people. I have friends who are both on the left and the right, and both, no matter the political persuasion, they'll both say, yes, this is a huge problem. We have to do something about it. It's just kind of ironic or tragic, maybe, that both sides kind of point the fingers at the other side and say,
Totally.
those guys are the liars. Those guys are the ones that are causing all this deception. But everybody agrees it's happening. Everybody agrees it's a problem. Just nobody is finding a solution.
No one is. No one's finding a solution. There is no safeguards being put into place. We've known that this revolution has been coming our way for a while. There is plenty of time for companies and government to put something in place to kind of, I think, safeguard but it's not happening. And it's how, it worries me. And I'm not thinking of the Skynet thing personally. I mean, maybe, who knows? I mean, I don't know anything. I don't have the crystal ball, but just the idea that, you can easily reproduce people, their likenesses in a very believable manner, as well as their voices. And what you end up with is a lot of misdirection and chaos, quite frankly. And that's the
Sure.
scary part.
Yeah, yeah. And I kind of write about what scares me. I mean, if I'm going to write horror, that's kind of part of it. And this is definitely more of a sci-fi novel that I'm working on. But I usually, if I'm going to write something, it's about something that's stirring in my brain, and like, how are we going to handle this, or how am I going to handle this, or what are the pros and cons sometimes? Because with every technology, and you'll see this in the story that I'm going to read tonight, with every technology that comes around, there's a way to use it and there's a way to abuse it, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Let me ask you this: when, because you mentioned that when you write something that's like it's on your mind, and whether it troubles you or whatnot, is it, when you write the story, does it make you feel better about that situation? Like, it's like, at least, like, I got that out of my system, at least, or is it cathartic in any way?
For sure, for sure. It's the best therapy in the world. And
I bet.
often it's something where it's a personal issue where maybe a family member or something got sick, or something, somebody moved away or whatever it is. And oftentimes I won't even realize that I'm writing about it, but I'll kick out a short story. And then later, maybe in the review process, or maybe when I look back at that story a year later, I'll say, "Oh, I know what that's about now," and that was me kind of working my way through that topic or that event.
I suppose you can look back through the history of your writing and see the different sort of phases your life had been going through based on your writing, because I'm sure there are things that, even if it's not primary to the story, that they were topical enough for you to include.
Sure, for sure. But it's also fun that, like, I feel, um, especially in genre work, I feel like I can build on top of, um, certainly what I've written before, but also more of the media, and more as that genre grows and develops and shifts, I always want to add to the conversation, right?
Sure.
And that's
Yep.
why I love things like sci-fi and horror. And my most recent novel, Look What You Made Me Do, was really that love letter to all these horror movies that I grew up
Yep.
with, and getting to play in that sandbox that so many others had created before me. So yeah, it's fun, it's cathartic, I couldn't quit it if I wanted to.
No, and nor should you. Nor should you. Emily had some questions in the comments, but they're kind of story ideas, Emily. I don't know. I mean, you'd hate it if the next thing you know, they show up in one of Joe's books. The thing is, because it's about AI, I'm sure, I think a lot of us have thought very similar sort of things. And it's, regarding AI being sentient, being something that it's more of a universal thing than what we expect and whatnot. It's like, as scary it is for creative people who write like you or Emily or anything else. I think this is probably like harvest day of ideas. That there are so many things that can just pop out of that have to be kind of like, well, this, we can go anywhere with this, quite frankly.
Right, but it's challenging to keep, because especially a novel doesn't happen overnight. And it takes, at the short end, it takes a full year between the time I write the first sentence and the time it's ready to be published. So what was cutting edge and what was new a year ago might be old news by the time it's able for release. So I definitely have to lean forward, and always thinking forward of what
And
what are things going to be like in the future.
absolutely, but also too, I would think too that everyone's talking about AI. I suppose you have to somehow kind of make sure in your own mind, is this the right time to release in 2024 or 2025 the 1000th AI book that has been released this year because everyone's writing about it, because it is everyone's top of mind, because I can't imagine that something that is really on everyone's mind, that everyone is writing about it at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that serves me well is I get bored with conversations pretty quick. So if everybody's talking
Thanks a
about
lot.
this, not tonight,
I was noticing that.
But if everybody's talking about this one thing, right, and we've kind of beaten that horse to death, then I'm no longer interested in it, right?
Right.
Or even if like the conversation's already happening, I guess I'm more interested in um, generating a new conversation or finding that new topic that nobody's talking about and saying, hey, what happens when we can no longer tell um, a true person from a fraud, um, from our own reality, what we're experiencing versus a simulation or whatever it might be.
Absolutely. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go ahead, take our first break. When we come back, Joe has a short story he's going to read to us from his most recent book, and I do mean most recent, Machines, Monsters, and Maniacs, Volume 2. We have a lot to get through. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Greg Bakun here. I love historic tours of Minneapolis and seeing everything it has to offer. But if you know me, I like to include a little spooky in my tours, which is why I found the perfect combination. Minneapolis Trolley Tours does this amazing candlelight ghost tour that you have to check out. It's an extremely immersive experience. It's a trolley trip that starts out at a haunted mansion, traveling around Minneapolis locations exposing ghost stories that the public and business owners would rather left untold. Then a tour of the aforementioned haunted mansion where ghosts of past residents from the 1800s reside, plus a lot of surprises to discover. Next, experience Gertrude's After Hours. Did I mention Gertrude is the mansion's most famous ghost? Maybe she'll show up. And you finish up the tour at Gertrude's Lounge in the haunted basement of the mansion with refreshments and Q&A. The trolleys are climate controlled and the mansion is restored to perfection. Check out MinneapolisTrolleyTours.com for more information. Greg Bakun here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com. Gritty Gear Company is a great place to go for clothing that is fun and expressive, but did you know we also do custom orders on demand? We've worked with all types of companies and organizations, from first responders to even a certain radio station. Our team is here to help you look amazing. Our clothing is of the highest quality, and you will love your logo on the finished product. We are a locally owned small business who simply wants you to look great. Find out more at grittygearcompany.com. Have you ever met someone who not only can help you on a deep spiritual level, but also potentially change your life? Refined Divine is an extremely gifted psychic medium who travels the nation and lives right here in the Midwest. And she offers mediumship, mentorship, house and business parties, energy healing, palm readings, and so much more. Refined Divine has helped thousands, and she can help you.
Hi, this is Psychic Medium Deb. I cannot wait to hear from you. You can go to refineddivinepsychic.com.
Greg Bakun here. Like many of you, I still collect physical books, and not just any books, but books about the paranormal, ufology, Bigfoot, and so much more. I go to Megas Books and Herbs, located in the Arts District of Minneapolis, but books are only part of it. Megas Books and Herbs offers crystals, jewelry, herbs, oils, and consultations on how to use this stuff. Check out their in-store classes and events too. This place has everything to expand your horizons. Located at 1848 Central Avenue, Minneapolis, or visit megasbooks.com. Boy, I've been looking at those new t-shirts for GhostBox Radio, and I'm really excited. I cannot wait for them to become available for everyone to purchase if you want to. I hope that you'd like to. We're going to have 4 versions to start off with, and I bring it up because Gritty Gear Company are the ones that have printed those for us, and they have been incredible partners throughout this whole process. And you may have seen on some of our other AM 950 stuff that we have that blue shirt with the AM 950 logo with the Minnesota outline to it, and they have done that as well. So they do their own shirts, and they have their own designs, and they look fantastic. But they also I would highly recommend anyone who is like looking to get t-shirts made for their company or for a group or whatever else, and get some custom orders made, go to grittygearco.com, check it out. Nicole and everyone over there is fantastic. So please, just see what they have going on over there. I think you're going to be pleasantly happy with what you see over there. Right now, though, I have Joe Prosit on. He is author. We've had him on a number of times, and we're talking about his newest book, Machine Monsters and Maniacs, Volume 2, 20 short stories, available on Amazon.com. Also, go check out joeprosit.com, JoeProsit.com. And Joe, I've listened to what you're saying, and basically, you said that you're bored by conversations very quickly. So why don't I turn it over to you to read a short story from the book, and let us know what are we going to listen to here?
Yeah, so I've teased this story a little bit in the past, maybe I think on this show, because every once in a while somebody will ask me, "Oh, where do you get your ideas?" And in this one case, it was me and a coworker driving on a long work trip, and we were about an hour from getting home. And I think I said something like, "Man, it would be great if we had self-driving cars. We could take naps, and this trip would be easy." And he says to me, "Yeah, that's all well and good until your car decides to kill you." And as soon as he said that, I'm like, "Oh, all right, pump the brakes. What are you talking about? What?" And he started going on about how kind of like, the trolley problem of cars having to make decisions when they're self-driving that normally humans would make. So that was the start. That was the seed that launched this story.
Very cool. All right, why don't we go to, what's the story called?
The story is called Pre-Triage.
Okay,
All right, are we ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Pre-Triage, first published in Metaphorosis magazine back in May of 2020. Here we go. As of today, I am a human crumple zone. I saw to that myself. The highway network will see my car and label me the perfect impact absorber. There was a time I thought I had all things figured out. I had a good job, I had plans, ambitions, goals, a house of cards set toppling down when they pulled my job out from underneath me. My severance package, nothing more than a handshake and an escort out the door, told me exactly what I was worth. It was a rough year, a rough couple years. I figured it out, though, how to rebuild that house of cards into something that the system would value. I married a doctor. Her name was Linda. She had everything: a beautiful face, gorgeous eyes, wavy brown hair, long legs, and a knockout body. A great fashion sense, too. I got a lot of advice on picking out her clothes and accessories before I bought them for her. Her physical presence was the easy part. I built that from old car parts and a suede recliner I had in the garage. But she had a great personality, too. I spent hours creating her digital footprint and integrating that into her physical body via her cell phone and the biometrics I gave her. She wasn't just beautiful to my eyes. When I helped her turn on her phone, the network saw her face and her retinas and felt her 3D printed thumbprints the same as I did. But Linda was beyond just biometrics. According to her records, she worked the ER at a level 1 trauma center, donated to charity, and coached our son's soccer team. She was a great mother to all three of our kids: Luke, Jeremy, and Abigail. They had lives too. I built them in the garage and integrated them into the network not long after Linda and I got together. They were enrolled in sports, wore cool clothes, had friends online, and streamed the newest hit music. Their fake school records weren't all straight A's, but they worked really hard and made an effort. So, what if maybe they spent a little too much time on their phones playing games and streaming videos? I knew the metrics the network used to quantify the value of their lives, so I maxed theirs out. As far as the system could tell, we were the perfect family, worth saving. I think it all went to hell when we trusted the computers to drive for us. See, back then when I was working and all I had was my job, I was a highway systems engineer. I did the final coding on tying the whole highway network together. There's a lot of work to be done during before launch day, a lot of overtime. That was when I came across the pre-triage protocol. Never heard of pre-triage? Never heard of triage? It's French, meaning to sort. Imagine for a moment you're being a paramedic back when humans drove cars. You come upon a wreck and you and your partner have 10 patients. 3 are fine, bumps and bruises. 3 others are flatline dead. Of the remaining 4, 2 are so close to dying there's only a slim chance you might save either one. The other 2 you know you can save, but only if you give them all your attention. Who do you treat? The 2 who have the best chance of being saved, right? You'd play God and you would decide, these people will live and these people will die. That's triage. It's no different nowadays, only we program the network to decide instead of the paramedics. And the network chooses before the collision ever happens. Say a deer jumps out on the road. As soon as it's detected, the network knows that the thing that should not happen is about to happen. There's going to be a wreck, a nasty one too, a pileup. People will surely die. So what does it do? Pre-triage. Some cars become impact absorbers while others are spared. It becomes a numbers game. This car has 5 passengers. This car has 1.
Mm.
This car is carrying a happy family with a Nobel Prize winner. This car is carrying a single out-of-work engineer with a drinking problem. These people live. This one dies. For the good of others, your car just might decide to kill you. That's pre-triage. So my plan began as a way to stay safe on the highway. As the family grew, it was only natural for the network to see how valuable we were. Instead of being a lone, washed up programmer clinging to the bottle, I was a husband and a father. I was a good one, too. My wife was a respected doctor, advanced in her field. Our kids had real potential. I poured hours of attention into them, making sure they'd make the most of life. In the end, we had a measurable, quantifiable benefit to society. Most people wouldn't recognize it at first glance, but saw how special my family was, and the network saw it too. It was right. It was more than just about me staying alive on the highway. It was about raising a family that trusted and needed me, regardless of how some computer banks scored the value of their lives. Between you and me, by the morning we met, I'd stopped worrying about highway safety. I was enjoying spending time with my family during aimless rides along the highway. The network was performing flawlessly. Road travel was more efficient than ever before. More cars on the road, closer following distance, higher speeds, shorter commutes. Highway fatalities had dropped by 95%. And the network enjoyed a near perfect customer satisfaction rating. By August 6, 2032, I didn't worry about 50 car pileups anymore. Nobody did. I read the police report. It was an unsecure load that started the accident that morning. Some trucker didn't check his tie downs before hitting the road. It's always human error whenever you ask us engineers. A load of cinder blocks fell off his truck. The blocks brought the first vehicle to a unanticipated spontaneous halt. The next 10 cars were impact absorbers. Nothing could be done about that. You were in car 11. I was in car 12. It was up to the network to pre-triage us correctly. It seems like yesterday. I heard the screeching brakes and the tense smashes like rhythmic thunderclaps coming closer and closer to me and my family. I was scared. I grabbed Linda to hold her back, to keep her safe from the collision I knew was coming. I reached out to little Abigail, praying to God I'd put that car seat in right. You know how they say that only 1 in 10 car seats are installed correctly? That's all I could think about as I was waiting for the next thunderclap to hit my family. I wasn't thinking about your family. The thunderclap came. Metal twisted and bent. Bits of glass filled the air. I swear I could hear the boys screaming. We hit your car going 70 miles an hour. The car behind us hit us going 40. The network, in all the infinite wisdom we gave it, decided to save me and my family. When the impacts had been absorbed, when the tires stopped squealing, when the bits of glass, of metal, settled on the blacktop, when the frame of your car collapsed and mine remained rigid, we ended up okay. Linda was scared, but not injured. The boys were crying, and I was happy to hear it. It meant that they were still in one piece, thank God. Abigail, I thought maybe she was hurt. She was so quiet. Panicked, I unbuckled and crawled over the seats to see inside her car seat. And there she was, pretty as an angel, as healthy and happy as the day I built her from a baby doll, an old laptop, and steel springs. My relief was infinite. I cried and held them all close. I can't say how long we stayed in the car, just holding on to each other and thanking God we'd made it through. It wasn't until the rescue crews opened our door with the jaws of life that I got out and saw the rest of the wreck. They checked me out, saw that I was okay, were confused about my family, but triaged them as not needing any medical attention. Then they went to your car. I was standing on the shoulder of the road when they extracted you and your fiance. You were unconscious, but mumbling her name. That's how I know it. Abby. That's what me and Linda called our baby for short. Abby. When they pulled her out, your Abby, she came out like jello from a mold, loose, like there was no bones left in her body, blood everywhere. Her blonde hair was matted and stained dark. There was no sentience in her movement. Her limbs and head went where the firemen moved them or where gravity pulled them. There was no will left in her body, no life. I'm so glad you weren't awake to see it. I can't get the image out of my head. I'm sorry. I can't look at my family the same way after that day. I can't look them in the eyes. I'm too ashamed of myself. They're too beautiful, and I'm too. I bet your Abby was beautiful too before the accident. I'm sending this to you to let you know I've deactivated all the sensors in my car. I'm not carrying any electronic devices. Understand that I knew exactly what I was doing when I first put my family into a car, and I know exactly what I'm doing now. Now, when I drive, the network will see my car as being empty, like I'm not even there. It will see me for exactly what I'm worth, a crumple zone, an impact absorber. I took your fiance from you. I took all the potential for you to have a family. So I'm sending you mine. They're in a car now, headed over to your home over at 1524 Juniper Street. I got your address from the police report. Hope you don't mind. Linda's a great partner. The boys, they're just amazing. I know you'll think so too after spending some time with them. And my Abigail, I took your Abby from you. I hope mine fills that hole, even just a little bit. Think of her as your Abby reborn. She's my gift to you. I'm going out on the road now. I got plenty of fuel and plenty of booze to keep me on the highway for a while. I figure eventually the network will use me for what I'm worth. I trust it to administer justice. I have faith in it now. That's all I got to say, I guess. Just that I'm sorry, and please take good care of my family.
Wow. There's a lot there to unpack, quite honestly. I mean, the I don't even know where to start, but I mean just the idea too that, when I'm thinking about cars that drive themselves, it's like not thinking that they're all on a network, and that there's decisions that's out of our control that are being made. And to your point of like it's playing God, that's pretty crazy. Yet at the same time, your character playing God by creating these life forms to be in the car. I mean, there's a lot going on there. That was a great story.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, with every technology that comes along, there's a way to use it, and then there's those people who are going to figure out how to abuse it, and how to take advantage of it for their own good or their own benefit, as they see it, anyways.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like that's your own benefit. The story starts off as in a sense kind of beautiful, in the sense that you're creating a family, and that this person clearly loves them. But yes, at the same time, it's getting around that was not the purpose for creating the family to begin with, which is crazy.
Starts out a very selfish reason, and then most characters in my books are what you'd call an unreliable narrator, or don't really have a firm grasp on reality. Because my own take on the story is that by the end, he saw these essentially mannequins with computer chips in them as something to love and something of value, and otherwise why would he send it to this poor dude that he nearly killed?
In that he doesn't get it until he actually sees someone else's life that was destroyed, and because of his own selfishness played a part in that.
Yeah, and I think that is true with most of us, is we don't see, or most of the time we make right decisions, but I think oftentimes we don't see the harm of our own selfishness until it's too late, until we've done some damage, and hopefully it's a small amount of damage, and we can recognize those little errors before they get big, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also the idea, I mean, I don't know if you thought of it this way. And by the way, I hope you see the comment. Emily absolutely loved the story. Also the idea too that, I mean, at least what I'm picking up, I don't know if this is what you were intending, that for this person to go to this length, that self-driving cars in general don't sound like they're actually all that safe after all, because there seems to be a lot of accidents. There seems to be, to the point that he's going to get that far. I mean, to do that. I mean, it just seems like that in the future that there is maybe because of more traffic or whatever else, that there's a lot to worry about being on the roads, I guess.
And it's about risk management, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
kind of more of a boring topic, but like we've already accepted the amount of risk that we have when, we have stupid meat bags that sometimes drink and drive, or drive when they're
Totally.
sleepy or whatever, distracted on their cell phone. We've already accepted that risk. So once we reduce that risk, then we can increase it in different ways, like increasing the speed, increasing the following distance, increasing the number of cars on the road, right? And then when tragedy occurs, and I think it'll be more rare, but then maybe more severe.
True. Very true. Now, this is one story out of Machine Monsters Maniacs Volume 2. That means there are 19 more stories that you can read. Get the book. Support your local author. Why don't we go ahead and do this? Let's go take our next break here. When we come back, we're going to continue talking about this book. Any questions that you have, folks, put in the comments section. We'll get to them. We're talking with author Joe Prosit. We're talking about his newest book. You're listening to GhostBox Radio on AM 950. Twin Cities Con returns to the Minneapolis Convention Center for the 4th year, November 8th through 10th. Twin Cities Con is a celebration of comics, toys, TV, film, art, cosplay, games, and all things nerdy. There is nothing like Twin Cities Con. It's also a family-friendly event where you can meet your favorite celebrities, browse the vendor hall and artist alley for the coolest merch, watch celebrity Q&As, and even more. Twin Cities Con is bigger and better than ever before. Come see from Star Wars the Emperor himself, Ian McDiarmid, along with Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, John DiMaggio, who is Bender from Futurama, WWE Hall of Fame wrestler Sting, and Sunday only Grant Gustin from The Flash and Glee, plus more guests to be announced. 3 days of action-packed fun is in the heart of Minneapolis at the Minneapolis Convention Center. Tickets start at $40. Kids tickets are just $8 for the entire weekend. VIP tickets also available, including a 3-day weekend pass, plus some really cool VIP perks. Buy your tickets and get more information at TwinCitiesCon.com. Greg Bakun here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Mavericks Real Roast Beef. Mavericks has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had, made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Mavericks Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Recently, I had a large order of custom-designed t-shirts that needed to be turned around in a hurry. I knew exactly who to call, Grady Gear Company. Grady Gear Company is a local company that handles large and small custom clothing and apparel orders. I had a lot of questions from color, shirt quality, and what sizes we needed. Grady Gear Company was great to work with. They got us what we needed on time, and now everybody's looking great around the station in their new gear. Start your order at GradyGearCo.com.
Reach your highest level of consciousness and well-being with MetamorphosisConnections.com. MetamorphosisConnections.com is an online directory of the best holistic and metaphysical practitioners to help you make your most informed choices. You can search MetamorphosisConnections.com for classes, events, wellness and life coaches, plus metaphysical products and shops. You can also search for a wide array of healers from all modalities, including EFT, sound healing, energy healing, light therapy, ancestral healing, shamanic healing, reflexology, past life regressions, hypnotherapy, yoga, and more. And if you're not sure where to start, the search feature on MetamorphosisConnections.com is tailored to help both those who know what they are looking for and those who are just starting. Come explore the possibilities for your higher self by visiting MetamorphosisConnections.com. Their experienced practitioners can guide both beginners and those that are already on their spiritual journey. That's MetamorphosisConnection.com, your link to direct you on your spiritual transformation.
And join me tomorrow on GhostBox Radio with Greg Bakun as we have a special episode tomorrow. We're going to be live from the 300 Clifton Mansion. It's our prelude to Halloween. As we've talked about, on Halloween, we are doing a special, not 1 hour, 2 hour, or 3 hour. We're doing a special 4-hour broadcast live from the 300 Clifton Mansion, and we got a lot of stuff we're going to be doing there. But I'm going to be there tomorrow as well, as we're going to be talking a little bit about the house. We're going to be talking about what we're doing. I'm going to have some of the guests that are going to be joining us on Thursday, October 31st. They're going to be there. Miriam Faresh, who you may have seen on another show that I do called Myth or Mystery. I think we can also have Ghost Inspector Greg joining us, because they're going to take part in the Halloween festivities. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to go live there tomorrow. I got to test some stuff out anyway while I'm there, and I think it's just going to be a great program. So please join us for that. Plus, it's always good to get Miriam on the program, because she is such a talented medium. It's going to be great, and we are also going to be also on Halloween, we'll have Shar with us as well. Shar was originally going to join us tomorrow on the program, but she's on her way to Michigan right now for a great big event, and we wish her very much success for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Emily asked, where is this? It's the 300 Clifton Mansion. It is in right outside of downtown Minneapolis, in over by Loring Park. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to do that tomorrow. Also, I just want to let people know that we are, like I said, we're doing a live broadcast from there, but you can join us there in person. There is going to be tickets sold. You can go there just to check out the whole evening. It's going to be basically a big party over at the mansion. There's going to be trolley tours. There's going to be psychic readings. They're going to be, you can join our team during the paranormal investigation and be on the radio while they investigate the house. There are ticket prices involved with all this, so you just need to go over to minneapolistrolleytours.com/Halloween. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be talking about that, and people like Miriam and Ghost Inspector Greg, they're all going to be joining us from LA and Hollywood and other places. We're just going to be bringing them through, so it's going to be a lot of fun. We're finishing up our conversation with author Joe Prosit. And Joe, you had mentioned prior to the start of the show, because we've been running the ads, you're going to be at Twin Cities Con as well.
Great. I can't wait. It's a great event. I didn't think I was going to be able to get in, but I got in as a last minute ad. So myself and a whole bunch of other authors that I've been kind of bouncing around with, all kind of around the Midwest, they'll be there too. We're going to be having panels. We'll talk characters, short stories, you name it, all sorts of topics and panels and opportunities for Q&As.
That's great. I think Saturday afternoon from our booth, because we're going to have a booth out there, and I think we're going to do a show out there, a live show. We're going to take. We're still working through the logistics, but I'm hoping that we can pull that off. And if that's the case, and if it doesn't interrupt anything during your day, I mean, it might be too busy for you to ever even think about leaving your table, but you're more than welcome to stop by, say hi, or whatever else. I understand that it's pretty busy. Also wanted to talk, you had mentioned about Lakes Area Writers Alliance. Why don't we talk about that a little bit?
So I'm a member of Lakes Area Writers Alliance, and really it's just an organization of writers who are supporting other writers. And some of us are very early in our journey. Some of us have been publishing books and selling books for a long while. We have journalists, we have poets. Most of us lean towards fiction, but our purpose is just to help each other out. And sometimes we talk about, kind of the craft of writing. Sometimes we talk about how to file your taxes. But on November 2nd, we have our annual fall conference. It is at Drum and Wine Company in Brainerd, Minnesota. So come on up. You'll get a beautiful catered meal. The food there is wonderful. I go there fairly regularly. Of course, they have wine and beer. But we're going to be talking about kind of the whole process of a novel. And the theme is the first draft to the first sale, and how you move from one all the way to the point where you have a completed book that's able to be sold.
That stuff is super, super important to share, and it's good to find organizations like that, because I think purposely or not purposely, there's going to be people out there who may not want to share that, or they kind of keep it a little bit close or whatever else. To find an organization that is all about, the whole theory of all ships rise, it's very important. And that's, and especially for those out there who are writers who are starting out thinking about doing so, this seems like a very good opportunity to kind of, just at the very least, see what you're all talking about.
And just to network and make those friends and to know that you're not alone. I think when I first joined this group, I didn't know very many other writers at all. And I didn't know any of the strategies, any of the techniques, the tips of the business side of it. Like the craft is fun and you can talk with other people and develop your own skills and read books. But nobody talks about the business stuff uh, very often in public. So this is
Yeah.
a great opportunity for that. I did want to say that because we have catered meals that are with this event, we do have to lock in our numbers by October 25th. So
Okay.
if you want to go to lawamn.org right away, buy your ticket before October 25th, and then, yeah, come and join us on the 2nd of November.
So, folks, that's you. You don't have a lot of time, but you do have time. You have about 3 days, well, 2 days, I guess, to make up your mind, figure it out. But even when you said like to help you how to do taxes, I mean that is stuff that is very important that a lot of people don't, may not really think of. Like when you're if like you're just doing it on your own, like just the whole business side of it, and how do you do things correctly? I mean, that's invaluable, I would think.
It's overwhelming trying to
Yeah.
tackle this all by yourself, and it seems like an impossible mountain to climb. But then once you meet other people who have done similar things and maybe tried different things and it didn't work that way, and they've tried this thing and they've had some luck that way, suddenly you don't feel so alone, and that mountain doesn't seem so um, impossible to climb anymore.
Absolutely. And I don't know. I mean, you could do all the research you want online. You can do all whatever else, but having that face-to-face interaction, people that you can on a regular basis be able to lean on, and eventually when you start learning more, newcomers can lean on you. That stuff seems to be like that just seems to be the cycle of life, right? In a way that this is kind of how it's meant to be. Let's take out all the computers and just know that there can be relationships that help people, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I think often about the Bones Brigade, the skaters back in like the 80s, where Tony
Hmm.
Hawk came out of this group.
Oh, sure.
But there's a bunch of other guys too. And there's a great documentary about there out there, but about how this group of kids just kept pushing each other further and further and further. And if they were all by themselves, they wouldn't have had that maybe that competitiveness or maybe that mentorship or whatever it is that, like you said, raised all those boats together. So I kind of feel like with all the different authors, like some of the people that will be at Twin Cities Con with me, some of the people at Lake Superior Writers Alliance conference, I've really grown and we've pushed each other and we've learned from each other and supported each other. So yeah, it's great to have essentially a team in what is otherwise a pretty lonely pursuit.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I find it, when we're talking about it, and I feel like I'm slightly in the same boat when we talk about, how we're, and you and I talk a lot about this, about living our own dreams, trying to, not have to necessarily do like a conventional sort of job working for a big corporation. For those who do, good. I mean, whatever works for all of us, right? But the idea of like to follow a dream, the what's up against you is insurmountable at times, and it's just amazing how the stuff that should be the stuff that should, that if there's a way to make it work, it should work, and it doesn't. It's really hard to get there. And so people like, this organization is a big deal, actually.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think part of it is like um a lot of times we're presented with this idea of like rags to riches, Cinderella story, overnight fame and success, and it really is much more of you know um, patience and diligence and being willing to stick to it so that for the long haul, so that you can gain that following and that grassroots. So that's why when we were talking at the beginning of the show, when I said, those first 5 books that I sold are just as important as the, you know, 2,995th book that I sell, right?
Yeah.
It all matters, and every single reader out there and everybody who supports, who swings by the booth, listens to the show, whatever, like those people are invaluable.
It's all what makes you too, isn't it? I mean, these are all pieces that has been part of your journey to get to where you are right now.
Yeah, and it is like a bucket filler, I've heard it called, but it's really what keeps me driving forward is when somebody replies with an email or a message on Facebook or whatever that they love my book, or they come back to the booth and they say, hey, I read book 1, I need book 2 and 3, whatever it is. Like those keep me going and keep me motivated and keep me writing.
Well, folks, as you heard today with the short story that Joe had read for us, it's pretty cool. You got to check it out. Machine Monsters and Maniacs Volume 2, 20 short stories. You can get it over at Amazon. Don't forget to also check out joeprosit.com as well to see where Joe is at any given time. Hopefully we can have a chance to connect over at Twin Cities Con, Joe. Joe, it's good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow at 300 Clifton Mansion. Everybody have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. All right. Good night, everyone.